Welcome back, students. In this, we have already started your syllabus for annual term. Now we'll be completing the rest of the part of this chapter, chapter 11 on New Awakening in India. Last class we have covered the few social reformers uh, and their contributions in Indian history and society. And today we will be dealing with these social reformers whose contribution again is very important in our freedom struggle. So first is Annie Besant. Annie Besant was not an Indian. She was a British social reformer and campaigner and for the rights of women and supporter of Indian nationalism. She supported the cause of Indian nationalism. So she took over the office of Theosophical Society of India after the death of Colonel Olcott, and so this society particularly worked for the revival of the religion of Hinduism, and it also encouraged the study of Indian religion and philosophy, which earlier also was very rich in its culture, in its every aspects. So this society particularly focused on that aspect. Now she condemned the social evils which was prevalent at that point of time, social evils of caste system, then child marriage, polygamy, all of this, and this contributed to the Indian education, to the enrichment of Indian education. She started the Central Hindu College in Banaras and worked for the cause of women education in India. The college later became the Banaras Hindu University. So she tried to infuse the spirit of nationalism, pride, and respect among the Indians, and this helped the Indians to realize the need of gaining independence from the British rule. So she is being considered one of the people who took active participation in the freedom struggle of India against the British rule, and also helped in the formation of the Home Rule League, which we'll be dealing with in later chapters, and a struggle for Swaraj. So she was the first female to become the president of the Indian National Congress. We will be dealing with this in detail in the later chapters, where we will be dealing with Indian National Congress formation objectives and the later whatever happened. Now this is about Annie Besant. Then Kandukuri Virasalingam. So he was also one of the prominent social reformers, and he was from Andhra Pradesh. So he was against the casteism, and then it was also he was vocal against the child marriage, the existing norms of child marriage, polygamy, devdasi pratha, dowry, and superstitions which was prevalent in Indian society, which were few of the social evils which had harmed the Indian society. Then the Western education and ideas of reform also created an impact on a very small portion of people, which could be termed as the intelligentsia. Like the small portion of people were actually helped out or actually understood the relevance or importance of the education system, but the major portions were uneducated, illiterate. So they were also at that point of time untouchability was prevalent, widely prevalent, and this has led to a lot of social issues, social problems, and this was he was being vocal about this particular problem, and his motto or his aim was to protest against the social evils and also the evils of untouchability. So he was being influenced by the writings of Keshav Chandra Sen, and he believed that he also he was one of the important persons who fought for the rights of women and children, and also the widows, and he focused primarily on the widows, widow remarriage, and the female education. So he had various dramas, journals. You have to remember the names of the dramas, journals, and his books, which were important and which had important influence in the freedom struggle, as well as in dealing with the social problems that was prevalent at that point of time. Then Sri Narayan Guru. So Sri Narayan Guru was a social reformer. He was from a village of Kerala, and he was from a Ezawa community. Ezawa community was one of the communities which was like, this is one of the very downtrodden community of Kerala. So like we there are in caste system, we have Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras. These are the four classes, or the four castes, and the people who did not fall in the four caste in the caste system comes under untouchables. Or so this he was from that community who were considered to be the lowest, and he had understood the perils of the or the very various difficulties that were faced by the untouchable, and he was vocal against that, the caste system, the evils of the caste system. And he tried to change the mindset of the people of India. He founded an organization called Sri Narayan Dharam Paripalana Yojana. So he struggled to uplift the downtrodden people, the lives of the downtrodden people, and he wanted to he wanted to spread this important message among the people, that God is one and there is only one caste and one religion, and God is for all. Like, some people can enter the temples, the others cannot, the untouchables cannot enter the temples, or the few people can only do some rituals while the other person cannot. So this was being totally condemned by this Sri Narayan Guru, and he preached that all of us belong to one caste, and that is the human caste. And the Hindu texts themselves clarified that it is not the janma or birth that determines one's caste, but the guna or the karma. Gun means the skills, or the karma that determines one's caste. Then we move on to Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. So Sir Syed Ahmed Khan was one of the very important personalities who has helped in the freedom struggle also. He formed the Aligarh movement, and he was a renowned scholar who joined East India Company as a Munsif. So he was conferred the title of Sir by the British government, and was nominated as a member of the Legislative Council. Governor General's Legislative Council. We will be dealing with Aligarh movement and all in details in due course. Then he tried to uplift the conditions of the Muslim community in India, and tried to propagate education, better form of education, and employment opportunities to the Indian born Muslims. And he started the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, which at Aligarh, which later became the Aligarh Muslim University. Then the new social and cultural revival was initiated by him, and the Aligarh movement was basically the revival of the earlier religion, the revival of the various cultural and social aspects of the religion, which was prevalent and which had been facing which had been facing certain social evils, and which had been facing certain other problems by the division of various sects among the Muslim community and the Hindu community. He wanted to attend a revival of that. So the movement aimed at spreading education among the Muslim community and get rid of polygamy, easy divorce, and education of the women. So this was mostly the contribution of Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, and the most important thing is the Aligarh movement, which was started by him, which was initiated by him. Then the Singh Sabha. So Singh Sabha was we all know that the Sikh community had already gained importance, and it worked as a community, though it was a religious community, but it worked as an important it had immense influence in the freedom struggle. We have known about this, that Maharaja Ranjit Singh had unified the Sikh community into a military community who had been very prevalent in the history in guarding their territory from the British rule. And the Singh Sabha was also, they gave the Sikh community legal status also. And the Singh Sabha was set up in Amritsar in 1873 and was set up in Lahore as well. So Singh Sabha movement was an important reform movement among the Sikhs, because after Maharaja Ranjit Singh, after he died, after the Sikh community was organized, and after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the community began to disintegrate and there were various divisions in the community. So in order to get rid of that, and in order to have a revival of that movement of the community itself, the Singh Sabha movement has been formed. And the main objectives of Singh Sabha movement were to counter Hindu Christian missionaries that were influencing the Sikh community, to bring Sikh community the benefits of the modern education, and to work for the social benefit of the poor. So these were the three aims of the Sikh community. Both the they had the members of the Singh Sabha were mostly from we have known what is the intelligentsia, the people who are being influenced and who have understood the importance of the British education. So the members of Singh Sabha were from the intelligentsia, were from the middle class. And both the Sabhas attended the joint meeting to make certain reforms among the Sikhs. So it was decided that despite the early education in the Gurdwaras, Western education would be given to the Sikhs to understand what is the condition they are in, and also to understand the social and religious issues which is needed to be discussed. And Sardar Sundar Singh Majithia emerged as the leader of the Singh Sabha. So this Khalsa college was established at Amritsar, and later Khalsa schools were being opened in several towns in order to revive this Sikh community, or the religion of Sikhism. So in the school it was compulsory to teach the Sikh scriptures, and they were taught in the Gurumukhi along with the subjects of reasoning like maths and science. Orphanages were open, and so this checked the there was somehow the Hinduism and Christianity, all of them got infused with the Sikhism also. So this was done to check the infusion of Sikhism or Hinduism into Sikhism. So this All Sikh organization was All Sikh leaders passed a resolution, and All Sikh organization was formed to protect the rights of the Sikh community, and which was thus the chief Khalsa Diwan was established, which was established on 30th November 1902 and was presided over by the Khalsa Diwan Lahore. So this was basically, you can see all this social reformers and these organizations worked for the revival of the Hinduism, revival of Sikhism, and revival of Indianized culture, identity, everything, which helped in also realizing the importance of nationalism and the importance of gaining independence by the Indians, and gaining the gaining Swaraj or independence and getting rid of the British influence in India. So this is what about this new awakening in India. In the next chapter we'll be starting with the next in the next session we'll be starting with the next chapter. Gradually we'll be able to see how the formation of Indian National Congress took place, how the Indian got united, and how they started revolting against the British, and finally how we attained independence. So this is about it. We'll be dealing with the next chapter in the next session. That will be all. Thank you.